This evening, first, Ghana's largest budget ever. How the 1.3 trillion plan promises to shape the future with big investments in education, healthcare, and infrastructure. Plus, a high-speed crash leaves a truck driver trapped. How emergency responders raced against time to save him. And a former top cop dismissed and facing over 260 criminal charges. What investigators say he did to misuse millions in police funds. Meanwhile, 3 men charged with the brutal murder of a 60-year-old woman. But police says one suspect is still on the run. Finally, the White House backtracks on Trump's bold statement about taking over Gaza, why officials are now trying to clarify his controversial remarks. Stay tuned, these stories and more are coming up on Headline News Update. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for February 6, 2025. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, the National Assembly has approved Ghana's massive $1.382 trillion budget, marking the government's second $1 trillion fiscal plan. The country's largest budget was presented by the senior minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, in the National Assembly on January 17, 2025. Dr. Singh said the budget aims to drive national development through key infrastructure, healthcare, education, and welfare investments. Notable provisions include increased pensions, expanded public assistance, and a $10,000 universal health voucher for 500,000 Guyanese.
Budget 2025 comprises primarily a review of the main developments and prospects in the Guyanese economy, key highlights from the main policies, programs, and projects being implemented by government, and the measures we're proposing this year with the aim of promoting production and productivity, increasing disposable income, and improving household and individual well-being.
Additionally, the minister with responsibility for finance said tax relief measures would remove 22,000 individuals from the tax net, while parents would benefit from a new child-related tax deduction. Major allocations include $143.2 billion for healthcare, $175 billion for education, and $112.5 billion for housing. The budget also earmarks $88 billion for energy expansion, primarily funding the Gas to Energy project, and $252.8 billion for infrastructure improvements. With no new taxes and US $2.5 billion in oil revenues, Minister Singh noted the budget aims to sustain economic growth and improve the quality of life for all Guyanese.
On the measures that I've announced, it should be clear that Budget 2025 contains much for everyone. Apart from all of the interventions in the social sector and the training and employment opportunities that will be generated by the budget, the measures announced will also help stimulate more growth because they promote production and productivity, and they will also improve disposable income in a very significant and visible and tangible way. Moreover, the measures will incentivize and reward effort by recognizing the value of hard work, and we must respect hard work and not be disparaging and disrespectful of it, and we must reward it, and the measures will also contribute to production and productivity.
Also reflected in the budget is a $13.1 billion to implement free tertiary education at the University of Guyana. On a different note, police are investigating an accident that occurred on the Lusignan Public Road, East Coast Demerara, earlier today, Thursday, February 6. The incident involved a motor lorry, GHH 5392, driven by 28-year-old Atish Singh from Kerndeen Berbice, and a motor car, PYY 6812, driven by 31-year-old Jamil Kelvin from Georgetown. According to the police report, Singh was traveling east at high speed along the Lusignan Public Road when he lost control of the lorry. The vehicle struck a Guyana Power and Light pole at the center of the road before colliding with Kelvin's car, which was traveling west. The lorry veered off the road, hitting a house post before coming to a halt. The driver of the car was taken to the hospital. However, Singh was trapped inside the truck. The skills of the emergency medical technicians were put to the test as they kicked into gear to administer immediate medical care to Singh, including providing him with oxygen and tending to his wounds. After combined efforts, he was freed and transported to the Georgetown Public Hospital Accident and Emergency Unit in a conscious state for further treatment. Police are continuing to investigate the cause of the crash. Authorities are urging drivers to exercise caution and avoid speeding on the roadways. Speeding remains a significant factor in many crashes, leading to serious injuries and property damage. Drivers are reminded to adhere to the speed limits and drive responsibly, ensuring their safety and that of others on the road. In other news, the Police Service Commission has dismissed former Assistant Commissioner of Police Calvin Brutus following a disciplinary tribunal's finding. The tribunal, which recommended his firing, found a pattern of deliberate misconduct, with Brutus accused of using his authority to coerce subordinates into violating police protocols. Brutus was found guilty of 2 disciplinary charges linked to the unlawful payment of over $114 million from the Ghana Police Force's Welfare Fund to companies which he had personal ties. Among the allegations was a $13.6 million payment to a company owned by his wife. The tribunal also discovered that records were fabricated to conceal that supplies, including uniforms, were never delivered. Despite being summoned, Brutus refused to attend the tribunal hearings. Even after a doctor's sick leave certificate on his behalf was withdrawn, he challenged the tribunal's establishment in court, claiming it violated his constitutional rights, but the tribunal proceeded without his participation. The PSC emphasized that the tribunal's evidence against Brutus was overwhelming, and after careful review, it upheld the recommendations for his dismissal. Brutus also faces over 260 criminal charges related to money laundering and financial crimes, which are pending in court. Stick around when we return. Businessman, government steps in to help family left helpless after devastating fire, and drug trafficking and forgery cases hard at the Georgetown Magistrates Court.
It's Digicell's 18th anniversary and we're going big with our blowout sale. Get up to 40% off Samsung smartphones. Yes, you heard that right. 40% off Samsung smartphones. Grab the Samsung A05 for just $17,000, the A15 for only $27,000, and the A25 at a jaw-dropping $35,000. But wait, there's more. With every purchase, enjoy a 30-day free data plan to stay connected. Hurry to a Digicel store near you. Offer good while stocks last. Digicel, the network for everyone, everywhere.
Sneak in with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Common smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Middle Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for do a surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets. outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton, and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Welcome back. Two men face the courts on separate charges, one for drug possession and the other for forgery. For more details on these cases, we go to our reporter Malcolm Carter.
Two men appeared before Acting Chief Magistrate Faith Mdgotsi at the Georgetown Magistrates Court on Wednesday on separate charges, one for drug possession and the other for forgery. Ray Peters, 50, was sentenced to 2 years in prison and fined $7,500 after pleading guilty to possession of 5 grams of cocaine for trafficking. Police conducting a patrol near Starbrook Market saw Peters acting suspiciously and searched him. He threw away a white container, which was retrieved and found to contain cocaine worth $7,500. Initially, Peters claimed he saw the drugs near a truck, but later admitted ownership, stating he used it for back pain. In a separate case, 25-year-old Dharmendra Gandat, an employee of Edward B. Harry and Company Limited, was charged with forging 2 checks worth $23.5 million and $48,500 from the Guyana Bank of Trade and Industry. Gandat pleaded not guilty, and his attorney argued that he had reported the fraudulent transaction himself. The prosecution objected to bail, but Magistrate Mdgotsi granted it at $200,000. The court awaits further statements from the company, and Gandat is set to return on March 12, 2025. Both cases highlight ongoing legal battles involving narcotics and financial fraud in Georgetown. Reporting for Headline News Update, Malcolm Carter.
Thanks, Malcolm. 3 men who confessed to murdering 60-year-old Parbudi Budram during a robbery have been charged and remanded to prison. 40-year-old businessman Roshan Singh and fishermen Philbert Kush and Kishan Narayan appeared at the Lenore Magistrates Court before Magistrate Robin Singh. They were not required to enter a plea, and the case was adjourned to February 17, 2025. Police have issued a wanted bulletin for a 4th suspect, 31-year-old Venezuelan national Yumil Barros, also known as Pipi. Budram, who assisted her husband at his tailoring shop in Georgetown, was attacked after returning home from work. She had stopped at a local shop owned by Singh, who escorted her home. Investigations revealed that Narayan and Kush followed her inside and attempted to rob her. During the act, she collapsed and died. The suspect stole $4,000, a purse, and jewelry before fleeing. A post-mortem examination confirmed that Budram died from strangulation and also suffered head trauma. Police continue to search for Barros as the investigations continues. A heartbreaking tragedy struck a family on the east coast of Demerara after a fire destroyed their home, leaving them with nothing. But amid their despair, help has come from both private and government sources. For more on this devastating story, we go to our reporter, Malcolm Carter.
Just after midnight on Sunday, February 2, 2025, a devastating fire destroyed the home of the Rocknott family in Tramp, East Coast, Demerara, leaving them homeless. After reaching out to the media for help, they received assistance from both businessman Mohammed Azardin and the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security. Mohammed has answered the grieving mother's cry for help after her home went up in flames. He has started construction of a new home for the family of 5 displaced by the fire. Following a visit to the site at 11 p.m., Azardin met with the family in despair. They shared their plight and he outlined plans to help them rebuild.
Tomorrow, thing can go the next day.
Yes,
because right now he's doing tests and he can't go to school.
And next week we have project to do.
Mrs. Rocknott expressed she visited the Ministry of Human Services for help and received a food hamper. She explained that she doesn't even have a stove to cook.
But I run today in town to get help from President. I do all paperwork and I get a hamper from Ginger Passar and I fresh it in the town. We're going to cook it, we're going to put pot food with.
However, the Ministry of Human Services clarified its support, stating the woman was offered 3 months rental assistance, rebuilding aid, and help replacing lost documents. The ministry emphasized that the staff followed protocol, conducted interviews, and outlined available resources. At no point did the woman express dissatisfaction during her interactions. While the ministry maintains it's provided comprehensive support, Azordan's direct intervention has further alleviated the family's hardship. The family, 44-year-old Denkat Ragnat, his family, and his mother lost everything in the inferno and were left homeless. However, with both public and private assistance, they remain hopeful for a fresh start. Reporting for Headline News Update, Malcolm Carter.
Thanks, Malcolm. Don't go away after the break. Australia's Queensland floods ease, but warnings remain as more rain looms. And Panama denies U.S. claims over free canal passages.
Digicel is celebrating 18 amazing years, and we're giving you the ultimate shopping spree. That's right, top up with $1,000 or more, and you could be one of 4 lucky winners, each walking away with up to $1 million in groceries. Imagine filling your carts with everything you need and more, absolutely free. Top up now and get ready to dash for carts full of groceries. Digicel, the network for everyone, everywhere.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. How smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Middle Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road, Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world.
Good evening, I'm Malcolm Carter, and welcome to our regional and international news segment, which keeps you informed and up to date with trending news stories worldwide. In the Caribbean, the Trump administration plans to seize a second Venezuelan government plane, currently in the Dominican Republic, as part of the U.S. sanctions enforcement. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is set to announce the move during his visit to Santo Domingo. The Dassault Falcon 200, used by President Nicolas Maduro and top officials, allegedly violated U.S. sanctions. This follows a similar seizure in 2024 and ongoing U.S. pressure on Venezuela. Meanwhile, in Central America, Panama has denied claims that it agreed to let U.S. government vessel the Transit Panama Canal for free, contradicting statements from the White House. The Panama Canal Authority reaffirmed its control over tolls and fees. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio urged Panama to reduce China's influence over the canal, while President Jose Raul Molino insisted the waterway remains under Panama's authority, rejecting President Trump's calls to, quote, take back control. The White House has walked back on President Donald Trump's controversial statement about the U.S. taking over Gaza. Facing global condemnation, officials now say any displacement of Palestinians would be, quote, temporary, while the territory is rebuilt, but without U.S. financial support. Al Jazeera's Kimberly Halkett reports.
One day after U.S. President Donald Trump unveiled his surprise plan for Gaza, that the U.S. take it over and the Palestinians leave permanently, it was clear even members of his own administration were still sorting the details.
The president has made it clear that they need to be temporarily relocated out of Gaza for the rebuilding of this effort.
But that's not what the president said the day before as he sat next to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
I don't think people should be going back to Gaza. I think that Gaza has been very unlucky for them. They've lived like hell. They lived like you're living in hell. Gaza is not a place for people to be living. And the only reason they want to go back, and I believe this strongly, is because they have no alternative.
Trump believes the 2.3 million displaced Palestinians should relocate to Egypt and Jordan, a plan both nations have rejected. On Capitol Hill, top lawmakers were caught off guard by Trump's Gaza plan.
Yeah, we're trying to get the details of it, but I think this is a good development. We have to back Israel 100%, and so whatever form that takes, we're interested in having that discussion. But it was a surprising development, but I think it's one that we'll applaud.
Some Democratic lawmakers were outraged the president would even propose American occupation of Gaza, possibly using U.S. troops.
This was the guy that was supposed to end endless wars. What about the 2 million Palestinians? He's going to have America fund all this, put our troops in harm's way? It's crazy.
This is lunacy. You know, he's trying to take his two-state solution is taking the Gaza Strip and making it the Las Vegas Strip.
The plan effectively ends phase 3 of the ceasefire deal, which calls for rebuilding Gaza, not the illegal removal of the Palestinians by an occupying power. Donald Trump's proposal to end Gaza reconstruction, or phase 3 of the ceasefire plan, comes just as indirect negotiations between Israel and Hamas on phase 2 is set to resume. Steve Witkoff, the Middle East envoy for the Trump administration, is set to meet in Florida on Thursday with Qatar's prime minister. This as the Israeli prime minister wraps up his own meetings this week here in the United States. Kimberly Helkett, Al Jazeera, the White House.
Finally, Australia's Queensland's floods have submerged hundreds of properties, with more rain expected. Authorities warn of further flash and riverine flooding. Al Jazeera's Sarah Clark reports.
For now, the rain has eased, but swathes of northeastern Queensland are underwater, with hundreds of properties submerged. 2 metres of rain fell earlier this week, breaking multiple records in the region, and authorities say more is coming.
We remain prepared for the ongoing prospect of more rain and the likelihood of more flooding, both flash flooding and riverine flooding.
Scientists say it's the result of a multi-year La Niña weather event. Cooler surface temperatures in the Central Pacific bring wetter weather to this part of Australia. The deluge has swollen waterways, flood warnings are still in place, and the Defence Force has been called in to help with the clean-up.
There is a lot of water in those catchments. There's already an incredible amount of water on the ground. There is more significant rain to come, so it will take days for that water to come out of those systems.
A number of communities have no power, and some towns are still cut off by the floods.
Everyone went underwater. Everyone's got water through their houses. There's a lot of people down there with no food, no power, obviously.
At the same time, parts of southern Australia are experiencing prolonged heat waves, with bushfires in Western Victoria. Climate scientists warn these weather events are becoming more extreme and more common.
Greenhouse gases trap heat in the atmosphere, they intensify cyclones and storms, they make the atmosphere more humid and laden with more moisture, they increase heat wave events, they bleach coral. All of these impacts of climate change are due to increased greenhouse gases.
For the year ahead, the Bureau of Meteorology warns that in many parts of Australia, they can again expect above average temperatures. And in the coming months, forecasts indicate that there's a greater chance of unusually high rainfall as climate change accelerates. Sarah Clark, Al Jazeera, Brisbane.
That wraps up our regional and international news segment for tonight. Thank you for joining us as we bring you the latest updates from around the globe. I'm Malcolm Carter. Good night. See you next time.
Thanks, Malcolm. Up next is the 3D weather forecast. And that's it, TV2 Headline News for this Thursday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can tune in tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. for a rebroadcast and at 5:30 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other.